It was a question about licensing and identifying the value of licensing. And do you start from looking at the market potential or your perceived...
I believe the question was, how do you figure out the value of a license before you've licensed
that's right,
it? So a license value is usually expressed as an income stream. And therefore, what you're looking to do is determine an income, all the variables that attach to income streams, so you can determine a net present value. Net present value calculations being a relatively effortless calculation if all of the other numbers are present. And thanks to Excel, you don't even have to know how to do one so long as you have all the numbers. But the key elements of an NPV calculation mean you need to know how much you're going to get over what period of time. And this is where the art form comes in. The answer is, in some ways, impossible, in other ways, quite simple. So if somebody comes to me and says, Doug, we've got this idea or something that's potentially licensable, and what we're trying to do is figure out, and they will have to figure this out, what the potential value of that license is worth. You start by first you start by what I do is I pick a pro forma customer, meaning I pick a company that could be the company that would license it. And I then do an analysis. Usually it's a public company. If it's an American company, or even a British one for that matter, I tend to think in American terms, you can pull their 10Ks, their 10Qs, and their SEC filings. You now know a lot about this company. You can lay out their financial model. And then you can say, right, so if they have this product, and it's like that product in this market, and they've got this leverage, because that's why you're working with them, is they've got this infrastructure in place. What would be the rational outcomes of them reaching their target goals? And then you can look at their P&L. And on their P&L, you can therefore assign what marginal proportion, because your license comes down right near the bottom. Right? You're one step above EBITDA, above earnings before interest, taxes, dividends, etc. And so you're a percentage of net. So this is all just doable stuff, and you can roll back then to what the likely livelihood of it is. Things you can't know, and this is where you have to model, is different products have different half-lives. What is your pace of innovation? So in my world, usually anything you do is going to have to be upgraded, reinvented, extended, or changed on a relatively periodic basis. Therefore, you would have to put a continuing rollback in. So somebody has to continue the research, either the inheritor, the licensee, or you. So the model can get more complicated, but it is not only not impossible, it's eminently doable. And what you end up with is a contained unknown, right? You end up with a box, and the box says it could be up here, or it could be down here, but that's what we used to call the low likely case and the high likely case. In the world of forecast modeling of high risk activity, there's actually 4 lines one can draw. There's the low case, that's known as a disaster. There's the high case, that's known as the Google outcome. And then there's the high likely, which is what you should aspire to, and the low likely. The 2 inner ones are one standard deviation. The 2 outer ones are the unlikelies. I throw the unlikelies away because it just never happens. And if it does happen, I'm either broke or I'm God, so whatever, I don't have to worry. And it's the low likely and high likely cases that are your upper and lower boundaries of the box you've created. That box can range quite broadly, but it will be within one order of magnitude, and that's doing pretty well from a forecasting point of view. I mean, for those of you who aren't following anything I'm talking about here, and if you can get a forecast between 10 and 100 or 100 and 1,000, that's actually good. So anytime somebody shows me a 5-year forecast, in the 5th year they're making 17.5 million pounds and a 4.6 million pound profit, I know it's bullshit. Because nobody knows what's going to happen in 5 years. I don't even know if I'm going to be breathing in 5 years. How the hell am I going to know what revenue and profit's going to be? But if they say it'll be in the tens of millions, and we're in the software business, and software businesses have average profitability between 20 and 30%, I believe that. I believe it'll be 10 to 100 million, and it'll be somewhere around 20 to 30% of that. That is a reasonable forecast, and guess what? You don't need to know more. Get an order of magnitude, and you're halfway there.